Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be following Safe Lane Shadow Fiend. This is a hero that has shot into the meta as of late. Literally, people are not even taking Shadow Rays at all. Yeah, you heard me right. Players are skilling Presence of the Dark Lord level 1. You might think this is a joke. No. This is not a joke. Team Tickles has been putting on a show as of late, and we're going to be watching Dyrachyo, ranked 38 player, own on Shadow Fiend in this game, and show you why you should be playing this hero as well. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. Alright, so the first thing to understand about Shadow Fiend's Safe Lane is that it's like really the biggest reason why it's good is Presence of the Dark Lord. 4 armor reduction in the early game is simply ridiculous. The first clip I want to show off that really shows why this is so good is when he gets Vision of the Dark Willow, her armor drops to -2. That drops Dark Willow to -10% physical resistance, which means Willow is taking 10% more than pure damage. You heard me right, 10% more than pure. And this auto attack from Shadow Fiend hits her and does 56 damage. Shadow Fiend currently has 50 damage. You get the point. Combine that with something like a Treant Protector who hits for 91, and you can imagine why it's so hard to trade into Shadow Fiend, even though this is his only spell, it just doesn't matter. One interesting thing about it as well is that it actually works on creeps. Yeah, you heard me right, it works on creeps. And this kind of has a very weird effect on the lane. Essentially, because every single melee creep is affected by -4 armor at all times, the lane almost always shoves. This might seem like a bad thing at first, but the reality is, Shadow Fiend doesn't want to get gone on. This is a ranged hero, right? Naturally, ranged heroes in the early game don't want to get gone on because they don't have built-in stout shield. To be fair, Shadow Fiend does have good movement speed and really good armor, so at least he has that going for him. But the wave shoving in for Shadow Fiend here is actually a good thing, because basically what you can do is you can use the fact that you have more creeps than the enemy, or often will have more creeps than the enemy, to force denies, auto attacks, and trades while you have that advantage. Now, as the lane progresses and gets towards the 4 to 6 minute mark, this is when you really want to start looking to put pressure. Naturally, if the enemy overextends and goes on your support, you should be trading in those scenarios as well. Often that's when you'll get your kills as Shadow Fiend, as you don't have a stunner as slow, right? You're a hero. So you kind of rely on the enemy going on you to kill them, or just being so ridiculously strong that you zone them out. The point in which you become so ridiculously strong and you can zone them out is around now. Now within this laning stage, honestly, to keep it real with you guys, he doesn't really get to show off the prowess of Shadow Fiend as much as you'll see in your pubs. Because if you're able to build up this current damage that he has, which is about 110, every single auto attack to this Willow here is doing 130 damage. 130 damage every single auto attack, and you have very good attack time. Currently he's attacking more than every second, right? He has a 0.9 second attack speed time right now. And so yeah, he just shreds this Willow. 2 auto attacks, which takes him about 1.8 seconds, does about 1/3 of her health. So if they ever, right, if Nigma was ever to make the mistake to go onto the Treant, they would feed. It's Nigma, so they didn't, but you get the point. Now next you might be asking yourself, Speed, how do I farm on Shadow Fiend with no races? This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Alright, sure, it might be good in the laning stage, but how in the world do I farm? Well, you just auto attack the camps, that's it. Alright, if that's it, you don't even have to be good at the game. You just hit the camps. But really, that's actually what it is. You just hit the camps. And as you can see, it's actually very quick. Right? It's very, very quick. It's quick because every single creep has -5 armor. Creeps don't have a lot of armor in the early game. Well, actually at all, ever. They have 4 armor. Putting them into the negative, and you know what that means. Once you go into negative armor, they start taking extra damage, and so you actually farm very quickly. On top of that, you want to go Mask of Madness every single game. This is the standard build. You don't necessarily want to buy a wand unless the lane really calls for it. If you're against a bristle or a bat, etc., then of course you could buy a wand and man up and trade in the lane. But if you think your lane isn't going to be the best, getting your Mask of Madness as soon as humanly possible is the way to go to make sure that you can flash farm. And that's exactly what happens. He gets this Mask of Madness and shifts into the triangle. One thing to keep in mind is Shadow Fiend is one of the easiest heroes to gank in Dota, period. Whether or not he's a mid laner, has Yules, it doesn't matter. He's one of the easiest heroes in the game to gank. He doesn't have mobility, he's generally not tanky, and so you want to take as safe farm as possible. This hero comes online later on. Okay, you have a good lane, even though it didn't really show off too hard in this game. Trust me, when you try it out, you'll be like, wow, the laning is actually very, very good. Right? You have a good lane, and then you farm very quickly and have another good timing at about 10 to 15 minutes. So please play it safe and only show up the fights on your side of the map, or, you know, pickoffs. Pickoffs can be fine too. But please, guys, don't run around. Don't siege a tier 1 with Mask of Madness. You're going to feed. All right, coming up here, this is what's gonna sell you guys. All right, if you're thinking to yourself right now, Speed, I'm not sold. I don't know about Shadow Fiend. All right. I don't know about this hero, right? It just right clicks. Surely it can't be that good. Well, 2 things, okay? Number 1, really good talents, right? 25 attack speed at 10, Presence Aura affects buildings at 15, 3 damage per soul at 20, and then Presence Aura armor at 25. All really, really good talents for right clicking. So this hero has right click talents. Next up, this clip, okay? Look at this. He gets jumped. Very tanky, right? Because you're taking stats. So he has an extra 60 HP right now, as well as a BKB, a wand, and yeah, so you're actually relatively tanky. Nothing insane, but relatively tanky. So he gets gone on here. Good reaction, okay? When you get gone on SF, don't panic. You're not gonna get away, all right? You know, jokes on Batrider, I guess. You know, you're not gonna get away, so just man up. Just man up. That's it. That's all you can do. And so, yeah, just literally punch whoever goes on you and hope for the best. That is the entirety of the execution. Also, in general, you want to let your teammates go in first. Don't initiate as this hero. Obviously, he's getting jumped here. Nigma is making the more often than not correct decision to man up to SF. It doesn't work out here, and look at why. So he gets gone on, gets started getting shredded by this TB. He ulties, okay, which honestly might have been a mistake here. He probably should have just straight up man up to the TB at this point. But he goes for the ulti. Pretty reasonable. It's going to fear away anyone who goes in, right? So right then and there, if you get caught out of position, you're BKB'd, then you can ulti. However, if you don't have BKB, more often than not, like ultiing isn't going to work. It's going to get canceled. So just be careful. Only do this if you have BKB most of the time. But look at this, okay? He looks 100% dead. We could agree. There's a BKB Terrorblade beating him up, beating his ass. Look what he does. Clicks mask, clicks wand, and auto attacks. Obviously that was a sick overgrowth from Celery to save him, but he nearly just won the man fight. Like, he just manned up to a Terrorblade, guys. You have to think about how kind of crazy that is. He just straight up manned up to a Terrorblade. Yes, Treant, absolute menace to society, saves him with the last second overgrowth, saves him with the living armor to the Willow auto attack. Beast of the game, right? But that was a worst case scenario fight for Shadow Fiend, where he gets jumped and it works out anyway. Now let's look at a more optimized fight for Shadow Fiend. Believe it or not, the fight execution is about as simple as you would expect. You click BKB as late as possible, right? Wait until there's an actual threat, then click BKB. The only other time you would click BKB is if you're securing a very important kill and you don't want to get counter initiated on, right? You want to secure the kill, then you could pop BKB as well. On top of that, in terms of item build, he went Mask of Madness D-Lance and then actually disassembled the D-Lance into BKB. This is something you can do. Personally, I like rebuying the D-Lance after the BKB. So you disassemble the D-Lance, right, the Dragon Lance, buy the BKB, then rebuy the D-Lance, and then go into your next item. He ends up going Manta this game, which is very reasonable. It's extremely good against Willow. It's good against TB Reflection. It's really good against Batrider Sticky Napalm. And most importantly, it's really good against Batrider Lasso. If you see Batrider trying to lasso you or about to try to lasso you, you click Manta and it makes it very hard for him. Even though it's only 1 or 2 seconds, it generally will take a player to figure out which one's real, sometimes even less, depending on how good they are. It doesn't matter. It often buys enough time for you to get off BKB or just, you know, even for him to get off lasso. And in that period of time, the amount of autos you're going to get off is insane, and you're going to do like half of Batrider's HP. But let's get into an actual fight. Okay, so in this fight here, he's going on Wyvern, right? Pretty standard. You're going to hit the first person you see. Don't do anything crazy. Literally just hit the first person you see and wait for your team to go in. That's obviously what happens here. Storm gets a really nice pull onto the Beastmaster, and Dyrachyo just instant kills the Beastmaster. After that, he realizes that TB's BKB is running out, hits him with the fear, and they clean him up. Beautifully done. Now, in terms of his next item, he ends up going Linken's this game. This is very clearly in response, almost purely to the lasso. It's just such a big threat for a immobile hero like SF. But in general, if they don't have like a repositioning spell like this, that's such a problem for you, then more often than not, the build's satanic. You just want to stand still and heal. Like, it doesn't get more basic than that. Just you just stand still and heal. Also, if they don't have a lot of kite heroes, then instead of going Manta, you want to go Sanjin Yasha. It's much better with the satanic timing. It gives you status resist and lets you be a raid boss. Trust me, it's a ridiculous timing when you go basically Mask of Madness, D-Lance, BKB, Sanjin Yasha into satanic. The amount of damage you do is crazy, and how tanky you are is also insane. So look for that timing. But as we see in this fight here, very simple execution. The great thing about this SF is because it's pretty tanky, more often than not, you're going to be able to get off an ulti at a convenient time. What I mean by that is the best time to SF ulti is when they are committing in, right? Because then the fear is going to last longer, and it's going to actually fear them in a range where you can often hit them or at least follow it up. All right, and that's going to be about all for today's video as we watch him just stand still and right click. And when you get further enough ahead as SF, this is what the fights look like. No one can approach you. No one can approach you, no one can man up to you because of the fact that you just do so much damage, and if they overcommit, you fear them, right? You just fear them, man up, and click them down, and that's exactly what happens here. Actually doing a lot of damage to such a high armor hero like Terrorblade. It's honestly quite impressive, and yeah, just a beautifully played fight. Once again, just being this tower, you're essentially Medusa. Honestly, to keep it simple, you're just a Medusa with like a better laning stage, right? Like a more reliable laning stage. I would say you're a bit more mobile than Medusa, and you generally hit a little bit harder than her, even with more defensive items. Like you can see, his build here is purely defensive. Like he doesn't have a single, I mean, like what I mean by that is there's no Daedalus, there's no Deso, there's no, there's no MKB. And yes, people do buy these items on right click SF. For instance, Arteezy plays this hero as well. He was one of the players that definitely popularized it, and he goes Silver Edge almost every single game. That's what my friend told me. And it makes sense, right? It's an item that gives SF mobility, prevents him from getting kited. So in your pubs, if you feel like you're getting kited and you need to 1v9 and get pickoffs in the side lane, Silver Edge, I mean, it's good for that, and it's just a good teamfight item. The amount of DPS the item gives a hero like SF is insane, right? It's a ton of attack speed, crit, what more could you ask for? Also, on top of that, one thing that's kind of cool about SF right now is his shard is actually physical based. So, like, I honestly don't like magical SF at all, personally. I think it's just bad. But yeah, his shard is designed to be based around right-clicking. So essentially, you gain 2 souls per kill, and Shadow Fiend can consume 1 soul per attack to deal 190% crit. It is a 3-second cooldown, which makes it honestly not that good. Don't prioritize it. It's not some shard you buy at minute 20. You just kind of get it from Roshan most of the time. But it is solid, and yeah, 190% crit is definitely decent. And man, we'll end the video here. Look at this clip. It's just so funny, man. He just stands still and auto attack. Like this Terrorblade has to run away from him. It's oh man, he's just literally standing still and everyone just has to run away. No one can really go on the targets they want. I mean, to be fair, in this clip, he kind of gets kited out, but they have to walk away. It's just like he's just standing still, walking away. He's like, oh, I can throw them. Pops his ulti and throws. Oh, it's so sad. It's just so funny, dude. But yeah, this really is good. This is not one of those memes, and I hope you guys give it a shot. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been your boy Speed, and I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.